Well, we are only a couple of hours away from having complete clarity on Israel's historic election, but as projected by many experts and now the exit polls, the road will be tough for sitting Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The exit poll numbers show a neck-to-neck fight between Netanyahu's Likud party and Benny Gantz's Blue and White Alliance. Likud is projected to get around 31 seats, while the Blue and White Alliance is pegged at 32. The two parties separated by merely one seat as per the exit polls. This means that the road to the government formation is going to be tough for both sides. And tracking the story very closely is our West Asia Bureau Chief Daniele Pagani, joining us live from Jerusalem. A very good morning to you, Daniele, here from India. The exit polls, in fact, are suggesting the result is too close to call. It looks like, as of now, Netanyahu's future hangs in balance. Benny Gantz has, in fact, emerged as a very strong contender, as predicted.
Good morning to you and good morning to all our viewers. Very much so, yes, only 10% of the votes have been counted, which means that the process of counting is going much slower than it was predicted. And normally, by this hour of the night, it is 4:35 here in Jerusalem, and we would know who would be the winner. But it appears that there is no clear winner. In fact, the number of seats between 31 and 32 is the same that it has been given to the two main parties, the Likud, the right-wing party that Benjamin Netanyahu is leading, and the Blue and White coalition that Benny Gantz is leading. It seems that voters who went out to vote, and the turnout was slightly higher than the April elections, still are very much divided on all the topics and all the issues that the two candidates have put forward during this round of elections. So, too early to say. None of the two parties, none of the two leaders of the parties have actually made a speech, made a victory speech. They're also waiting, and everyone is waiting in their headquarters to see what will happen in the coming hours of the day.
Indeed, Daniele, also Netanyahu has held some very strong views on Palestine, and with Israel's economy not doing too well right now, could these be factors leading up to the exit poll results?
Well, at the end of the day, despite the big last-minute promises that he put forward in the last fortnight, for instance, the promise and the pledge to annex the entire Jordan Valley and the northern Dead Sea, and eventually later on all the Israeli settlements inside Palestinian territories, it seems that his voters did not back him more than they had backed him in April. So now it's all about forming a stable coalition, which means that the smaller parties will hold an enormous amount of power on this government. This is partially the Israeli system. It is a multi-layered society with party representing all segments of its society. The Russian-speaking Jews, the Ethiopian origin Jews, the Middle Eastern origin Jews. There are different parties, very small, who represent the interests of these groups, and they will have a say. It appears also that the former defense minister of Benjamin Netanyahu, the man we all thought was going to be a kingmaker, Avigdor Lieberman, will actually be the kingmaker, because exit polls are giving to him 10 seats, which is nearly double the number of seats he got in April 2018. So it's going to be a trade horse. It's going to be very difficult for whoever wins to form and secure a coalition.
Definitely, Daniele, it's a very tight race there. We can see that. Now, how are the major contenders planning for any eventuality? Remember that, of course, it's a tight race and we don't know what's going to happen next. What is the strategy forward for the two contenders right now, which is Gantz and Netanyahu? All right, we seem to have lost a connection to Daniele Pagani. Daniele, I believe you're back with us. I'll just repeat the question for you in case you did not hear it the last time. It's, of course, like you said, it's a very close race there. So how are the two major contenders, Gantz and Netanyahu, planning the way forward as of now?
they are both already at work. They are reaching out very, very frankly to all the allies possible. Benny Gantz has even accepted to meet the leader of the Arab Joint List, and this is an exception. The Arab Joint List is composed by the four main Arab parties which represent the interest of the Israeli Arabs, which means those Palestinians who abandoned their national identity in order to become citizens of Israel. They have their own parties, and Benny Gantz has reached out to them, hinting at the possibility of even joining hands with them in order to secure a governing coalition for the country's best interest. This is almost unprecedented. It will be very, very, very strange for a leader like Benny Gantz, who doesn't really look at the Palestinian national independent state as a possibility. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is reaching out as well to his allies, to the Orthodox Party, to all the right-wing parties, even the smallest parties, in order to try to understand if he can put together the numbers. The only option that the two candidates have right now is to secure as many allies as possible, even conceding them a lot, even things they might have not wanted to do.
Well, thank you, Daniel Pagani, getting us all those details live from Jerusalem. Now, of course, Israeli citizens have cast a ballot and the results are due in just a few hours. But why did the country go to polls for the second time this year? Here's all you need to know about these Israeli elections in a nutshell.
Why is the country going to polls again? In the April elections, Netanyahu failed to gather a majority government. As a second shot, Netanyahu forced parliament to dissolve, triggering repeat elections. What is different this time? Netanyahu's former defense minister, Avigdor Lieberman, prevented a coalition earlier. Lieberman has the support of secular voters. Who is Netanyahu's main challenger? Netanyahu's main challenger remains Israel's former army chief, Benny Gantz. However, Lieberman is likely to have a say over who becomes Israel's next leader. What will happen? While both Netanyahu and Gantz may come out ahead, it's even possible they will join together under a unity government. The big wild card is another stalemate, which could lead to a third election in January. What has Netanyahu promised? Israeli sovereignty in the Jordan Valley and 30% annexation of the occupied West Bank, which Palestinians want as a future state. What's the role of smaller parties? Avigdor Lieberman of the right-wing secular Yisrael Beitenu party is an ally turned rival of Netanyahu. He could end up holding the balance of power. The role of Arab Israeli voters. Arab citizens of Israel could deprive Netanyahu of a majority if there's a robust turnout of the minority community. How will the results affect India? Anti-terrorism cooperation, military technology and weapons lie at the core of India-Israel friendship, which has remarkably grown during Narendra Modi's earlier tenure. Status quo is likely to remain the same.